Welcome to Beautifully Ruined, the podcast where we believe that being beautifully ruined isn't the end, but the beginning of a remarkable journey. I'm your host, Adrian Callaghan, and today, guys, we have made it to episode number 7. So if you're already not a subscriber and you're new to the channel, please like, subscribe, and share. This episode, I'm going to speak briefly about how God used a bat. Do you hear me? A real live bat to not only answer my prayers, but literally transform my life. I could have never imagined in a million years that he would use a bat to do it. Now, to give you the back history of this, I was recently let go of my job at the university. My father had cancer. I had 2 months to actually graduate from the university. Like, I love working at that school. Like, working at that school had literally almost became my identity. Like, I was so caught up in working at the university. And my main goal, my main mission while working there was to help as many people as I can. Everyone I knew who either wanted to go back to college, who was thinking about going to college, I helped them in every way possible. When students would come into the dean's office and literally about to flip out and risk it all, I would de-escalate situations, understanding what it feels like to actually literally be in their shoes, to feel like, you don't know what to do, that no one cares, no one wants to help, no one wants to guide. It's not in their agenda or to-do list to do. So I didn't care about a title. I didn't care what role I was in. I didn't care about any of that. All I knew is that, I had found myself in this new career and I was going to do everything I could to help anyone that I could possibly help, regardless of the title, regardless of the role. So when I found myself not working there and this all happening like so quickly due to literally associating with the wrong person. And that leads me to another thing. A lot of times people always say, oh, you can hang out with them. You can hang out with them. You're not doing it. They're doing it. Or you think, no. Let me tell you right now, if you're hanging out with someone whose own goals, whose own morals and values do not align with yours, it's best to leave them where they're at. Do you hear me? Leave them where they're at for your own security, for your protection, for where you see your life going. It's better that you be alone than be around someone who's going to drag you down and risk it all for something that you have no parts of. Like, just don't do it. So I find myself, not working at the university. I have 2 months to graduate. And what's so crazy is that, like, right up until the whole, I was no longer working at the university, I kept praying and praying and praying. I was doing all type of LinkedIn learning, trying to do financial analysts. Like, my goal was I was going to get into graduate school, finish graduate school, and get me an analyst job, hopefully like in the oil and gas industry. Like, that was my goal. And until then, I had been working for this boss that just didn't believe I even belonged at my little entry-level job at the university, who really made my life a living hell while I worked there. Like, it was so crazy because I had never worked in that atmosphere. I had been working in like call centers and collections for over 10 years. And while I was a bill collector, my peers and the people who I know and the people who I looked up to, we made more money than people with degrees. Like, some people I knew made over $200,000, $300,000 a year bill collecting, but yet we were looked at as the pariah. So when I finally made this career shift from working in call centers to finally working at a university, having an office and, working in the dean's office and traveling around the world and having all these opportunities arise because of it, I was so grateful and so happy. But if I were to be honest with you, a part of me got wrapped up in that to where I start to literally associate myself with the job. Even though I didn't make a lot of money, but I start to idolize it. And that could have been one of the reasons why God said, you know what? Let me remove you out of this. You are not your job. You are not that degree. You are not that title. You're none of that. You get all these things. And just like you got this thing, you'll get another, and you'll get another, you'll get another. But you have to believe, right? So towards the end of me working there, I'm doing all of these LinkedIn learnings and trying to learn everything about being a financial analyst. And, I applied here, applied there, applied here, applied there, but everybody shot me down like it was no way. So I really thought this opportunity would not be available until I finish, graduate school. Like I thought that was it. So I started grad school, have my own business. I'm leaning into that. And I literally was going to open a storefront, right? I'm doing all the work to open the storefront. And then I start noticing that my business partner that I was working with seemed a little shady. And after dealing with someone who were doing shady things in their own right and, being burnt because of that, I said, you know what? No, I'm going to back out of this. I'm not going that route. I don't want to be associated with anyone shady at all. I don't want the ramifications of being associated with shady people. I've learned my lesson, right? So my dad, he just finished cancer treatment, stem cell transplant, all that. He was starting to heal a little bit better. And what do? I take him on his first trip to Vegas. So we go to Vegas. We have a great time. He doesn't even know I'm not working at the university, right? And we had the time of our lives. Like, very memorable. And it really felt good for me to be able to just take my dad on a vacation, you know what I mean? And literally not worry about anything, right? And I'll never forget on our way back, returning from the vacation, and I'm a people observer, so I watch everybody. And I'm watching all these people, and I'm looking at all these people, and I'm just like, you know what? There has to be a better life. There has to be more time where I'm able to go on vacations, where I'm do things I love. Like there will come a time where I will be able to do all this, where I'll be able to take my dad on multiple vacations. I'll be able to just do whatever it is I want to do, right? And I just had that feeling, and it really resonated in me. So I get back. I didn't go the route with open the storefront, but I had a really good friend of mine. She has her own braiding shop. Shout out to A&M Braiding, Hair and Braiding, and Marianne. And she said, you know what, Adrian, you can come over here and you can sell your products here. So I sold my products at her shop. I had my products at barbershops. I had my products at nail salons. Like I had this body butter everywhere. I'm slanging body butter, right? And to be honest with you, I had really got comfortable. I had forgot all about, I really forgot all about being an analyst. I forgot all about working for somebody. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm making just as much money as I was on my own than I was, working at the university. Probably a little bit more, right? Except I don't have to deal with nasty people, nasty attitudes. I don't have to deal with any of that. Like I literally just sell my products, I spread joy, and I go about my way. I go and come as I please. I was happy with that, right? All until this one day, I kid you not, I decided, told my aunt, my great aunt, I said, hey, let me do some twisties in your hair. I was still experimenting. I was learning because Miriam was teaching me how to braid and teaching me how to do double twist with weave and stuff. So I had learned the basics. So I told my aunt, hey, I'll do your hair. So I went over there. It took me forever. I stayed all night doing her hair, literally all night doing her hair, right? And I didn't get home till maybe like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And I left the the light on in the living room, like the little lamp. I had left it on. So I opened the door and I'm still half tired, but I knew I need to get home. I didn't want to stay at my aunt's house because I need to take those dogs out in the morning. So I opened the door and I kid you not, I see like something black in the sky. So I'm thinking like, oh, you're just tripping, Adrian. You're tired. Like, let me go out and come back in again. So I literally went out the door, came back in, and then it literally almost brushed my face. It was a freaking bat. Do you hear me? A bat. Not a little one. That sucker looked big. Like it looked humongous. And it was just flying around my living room like super fast. Next thing I know, I'm screaming. I'm almost falling backwards, running down the steps. I leave the door open. And I call my aunt and I'm like, Auntie, like, what do I do? Like, what do I do? I've never experienced this. I don't even know who I call. It's, 5 o'clock in the morning. What do I do? So she's like, you got to call 311. So I called 311. No one's answering. They're not even open yet, right? So she's like, call the police. So I call the police and there isn't a non-emergency. Just wait till later. So then I call back and I remember, I'm like, oh, bro, you have these dogs in there. If anything, they're going to come for these dogs. So I called them and I said, hey, I really need to get in my apartment to get my dogs out because I don't want them to get bit by this bat, So next thing I know, within the next hour or so, the cop come and he gets there. And I don't know if he thought it was a prank call or not, but like, I guess I know he could see it in my face that I was not playing any games. I was half asleep. I was still tired. Like I had been up all night and all I wanted to do was go to sleep. Like literally, that's all I want to do. So I'm trying to prepare him. I'm telling him what's going on. I'm telling him about this bat being in my apartment. I'm telling him how there were no windows open, no doors open. I don't know how this bat got in there, how long it's been in there. Like I'm explaining everything. So, and I even tell him like I left the door open, so it may be gone. Now, I don't know. And by this time it's light outside, right? So we go up the stairs. He's in front of me. I have like my pouch thing and I got that pouch thing. And first I had it in my hand and he has his flashlight. And I guess his thinking was, I'm gonna flash the light on and I guess it'll go the other way. I don't know. And so, we get in there and he's flashing the light and I got my pouch and I'm swinging that bad boy like a slingshot. Like I'm going there like, if this thing come out, I'm killing it. Like it is not about to bite me. I'm not about to catch rabies today. Like I am not. Like I had enough. I was so like just literally exhausted, mad. I was so many things all in one, literally. So he's like, where's the dogs? I'm like, they're in the restroom. So I'm still swinging the thing and he flashing the bat. He looks scared. I'm scared. So we get the dogs out and then he's like, okay, here's the police report. And I'll show you in the clip. I'm going to attach it. But he said, here's the police report. And I'm like, what do I do next? He's like, you need to get with the apartments, call 311, have the pest people or whatever people come out. And so I was like, okay, fine. So, the maintenance man came before the apartments and I'm trying to tell the maintenance man what's going on and everything about this bat. Then the maintenance man's telling me I gotta wait till the apartment's open and tell them before he'll go in there and all this. And I'm like, oh my God, why are these people being so dismissive? Please, Jesus, tell me, why are these people being so submissive? Like, you know me, I've lived here for 5 years and I loved the apartments because they were cheap, they were reasonable, they were nice, they were in a good neighborhood and they were in the loop. It was convenient for me, like literally not even 10 minutes away from the university. So it was great for me for all the time that I had worked there, right? And to be honest with you, I had no desire to move until after I finished my MBA. I was like, I finished my MBA, I'll move, I'll get a house, get a better job, whoop-de-whoop. Like I was in no rush. I don't even invite people to my house. I'm not an entertainer, right? That's just not me. So go to the apartment and I'm telling her, hey, there's a bat in my apartment and we need to do something about it. I said, I don't know if it went out already, but I'm just concerned because of wondering how the bat got in, because no windows were open, no doors were open. I'm telling her what happened, how I left, and I came back and it's flying in my living room. And she's looking at me like I'm crazy, as if like I'm telling her this to get out of paying rent or to break my lease or something. And none of that made sense, because my lease was literally up in like 2.5 months, or maybe almost 3 months. My lease would be up. So, ma'am, I'm not trying to do any of that. Like, I'm not trying to get out of paying anything. I'm not trying to do any of that. So I don't understand why I'm getting the pushback, right? So she tells me, oh, I'm gonna have the maintenance man go up there. So the maintenance man, he finally comes up there. Once again, I hadn't been asleep. I hadn't even been in the apartment, right? So he comes up there and we do the walkthrough, and I'm looking everywhere. I'm trying to look for cracks. I'm trying to look for anything where it could have came through. I did my research. I found out they don't really have bones and they could just slide through stuff. Like, I'm trying to look for any little crevice, any little crack. And wherever crevice and wherever crack I find, y'all need to seal this stuff up. We need to investigate if there's more, because I've been aware of the bats, but once again, I lived there 5 years. I never had a bat in my apartment. I never heard of anyone else in those apartments having a bat. Like, we never heard of it at all. Like, I just wanted to kill them all. Like, I want them all dead. So at this point. And so I'm going back and forth with her. She's telling me she's going to hire some pest people to come out there. The maintenance man, he seals up some little cracks that I found, like in the window and some other place. Like, he's sealing them up. He did that. And the pest people never came. She kept telling me week after week they help rescheduling. So like 2 or 3 weeks has passed and the pest people hadn't came. So when the pest guy finally got there, then, I'm watching him do his job. He's sealing up all type of things on the outside. And then I even flagged him down. Like, I even took an interview, which I'll post the clip up here. So I'm asking him questions because I need all the proof I can get, because these people are acting like I am lying, and I'm not lying about a bat in my apartment. Like, ma'am, why would I lie about a bat? Please tell me, why would I lie about it?
The bat
So
part of this now?
I'm going back and forth. I'm recording the man. I'm taking videos of bats flying around outside the apartments. I discover, she tells me that they're a protected species and you can't kill them and all this type of stuff. Then I'm discovering dead bats like around my apartment on the ground. Like, it's just creeping me out at this point. Like, I had never experienced this in the entire 5 times. Like, I never even noticed a dead bat on the ground ever until this event. And the dead bats happen to be near my apartment. So I'm convinced a whole colony is living in there. And from talking with the pest guy, he's telling me that, yeah, there's a number of them in there. So at this point, baby, her acting all nonchalant, she shouldn't have done that, because I'm low-key a hypochondriac. Baby, I reported them to the health people. I reported them people to the Better Business Bureau. I reported them people to the Apartment Association. I reported them people to Google. I even tried to report them people to Yelp. I reported them to every agency, everything that I could possibly report them to under the sun. I was this close to calling the news. I literally was this close. But something in me was like, you know what, Adrian? You know what? You do not need to spend any more energy on doing this. Like, something's gonna happen if you keep spending you're gonna go crazy if you keep going this route. Like, you literally gonna go crazy. And I kid you not, every night, I still didn't know if a bat would come in there. I kid you not. So like, I was so uneasy, like sleeping here, not knowing a bat is flying around while I'm asleep, not knowing if I got scratched by a bat. So, I got the rabies shot. I did all this stuff as preventative measures because I didn't want to have rabies. I did not want to die from a bat. And trust me, look up the rabies shot. You don't want to get it. It's nothing nice. So, I'm doing all this. And the next thing I know, instead of what now is like a month has pretty much went by, and I got 2 months left of my lease. And instead of me getting a lease renewal, I get a letter notifying me that we will not renew your lease. And I am pissed off. Now, granted, I really had no desire to continue living there. I really didn't. I did not want to stay there any longer at all. I didn't know where I was going to move, but I just knew that I wasn't working. Even though I was making good money, helping out at the shop with my friend and also selling my products, like I didn't have like legitimate check stubs. And trust me, I'm from Houston. I know how to do it the wrong way, but at this point in time, like I didn't want to do anything the wrong way. I didn't want to be associated with anybody shady. Like I had learned my lesson. I wanted to do everything by the book because I don't want you come knocking on my apartment a few months later saying, who check stubs are these, or whose CPN or whatever they use nowadays is this. Like I didn't want to do any of that. So my game plan was I need to find a job. So I literally reached out to everybody that I could think of. Like, hey, do you have any leads? Do you have any leads? Do you have any leads? I'm asking people at the shop. One person gave me a good solid lead with, being a teacher. So I went through that path. Another friend of mine, Dorothy, shout out to Dorothy, she gave me a lead with working with the state. So I did both of those, right? And nobody but the grace of God, I actually got both jobs. But the only thing is, those jobs, by the time that I got those jobs, I had only probably had 1 month till my lease was up. Literally 1 month. Like a month had went by me trying to search and find a job and getting a job. So now I only have 1 month to go. And my lease is literally up. Like, my birthday is on November 26th. The lease is up November the 30th, the end of November. And I'm like, bruh, I got to find something out now. And I remembered that I had met this guy at the Galleria Mall, and he told me he worked in the oil and gas industry. And I remember him telling me that, he had got into the industry through a staffing agency. And when I was still working at the university, I applied everywhere when I thought I was about to graduate, right? And it was so difficult to even get a response back if you weren't interning or anything like that to get any of those jobs. Like you didn't get a response, or if you did get a response, it was a denial, basically, if you didn't know anyone, right? And I asked people about getting in the oil and gas industry, and the people that I knew who actually worked in the industry, they kind of gave me advice, but no pointers that would actually help me land a job immediately. So I said, you know what? Whether I work in the oil and gas industry or not, I'm going to hit up all these top staffing agencies, especially since now, I graduated and what have you, and I'm just going to go that route because by now I'd already had my degree. I went back there, I'm just leaning into my business. So I'm like, okay, let me apply to all of these staffing agents. So I applied to maybe like 3. And within, I say a week, actually a few days, I get a response back from one of them saying, hey, I think you'll be a great candidate for this job. It's only going to be 1 to 2 months, but you can go to the interview. I'll shoot them your resume, and we'll see if they accept you for an interview, and we can go from there. So I'm like, okay, bet. I'm low-key kind of excited. I'm like, okay, hopefully I get the interview. So he does that. The next day, I have an interview for the following day, right? So all this is within like 3 days. So I get to the interview and I get to the spot. It's in like the Greenspoint area near all like the towers behind Greenspoint Mall. And so I was like, oh, Greenspoint. But then when I saw the tower, I'm like, okay, well, hey, at this point, I don't care. I'll take a job anywhere. I just need some check stubs and I need to be able to move at the end of this month. So I get there to the interview, and the first thing I noticed, I'm dressed for an interview and everybody's dressed down. So they're walking me through the office, and then I noticed like I'm the only black person. And so I'm like, okay, this isn't my first job where I've been the only black person, maybe like one other black person. So I'm okay with it. I can adapt. I'm good at adapting. So we're walking through the office. They're all peeking out, and I'm thinking like, I don't think I'm going to get this job. I really don't think I'm going to get this job. So we sit down for the interview. They're looking over my resume, and they were pretty much, I was getting the energy from them. It's like, you're overqualified for the position that we're trying to hire. And the position that they were trying to hire was kind of like a I don't know, it was kind of like a accounting assistant or something like that. Like I don't even remember exactly what it was, the actual title, but it was something of that nature. And once again, I didn't care. I would have taken the trash man job. I just needed a job so that I could have a check stub and I could get a decent apartment. Like that's all that I wanted, right? And I knew that I had already got hired at these other two jobs. It was just a matter of time before I got my offer letter that I could take and then go show these apartments and move, right? And also with working for the state, you don't get paid like up front. Like you get paid on a monthly basis. So I would have had to wait a month after I had to move. Plus then I would have had to wait a month after that until I actually got a check. So it would have been like 2 months without any money, and I'm like, no, that's not gonna work out. So we're in the interview. The interview is not even 5 minutes. And in the mix of the interview, it really seemed like they were trying to talk me out of it. But I'm like, and they even told me, we're not going to hire you. This is temporary only. And I'm like, okay, sign me up. Like, I'm okay with that. And so the interview's over and I'm leaving and I'm feeling kind of down. And I'm like, bruh, how can I not get that? Like I'm like, man, I should have just dumbed down my resume to get this job. But I'm just using my standard resume thinking I'm going to get a good high quality job, like I'm just thinking like regrets. So at this point, I'm like, you know what? Let me go change my tire. I mean, not change my tire. Let me go change my brakes. I need to get some new brakes. So I go do that. I'm going to get my brakes changed. And in the mix of me getting my brakes changed, I get a call from the staffing agency. And I'm thinking he's calling me to say, hey, you didn't get the job or what have you. He's calling to ask me, had I heard from the job? And I'm like, no, I haven't heard from the job at all. I don't know. Like, I have no idea. And let me back it up a little bit. So when you're in a staffing agency and when they tell you to go out, before they even tell you to go out for the interview, you don't even know what job it is for. So I didn't even know the name of the company until it was actually time for me to go to the interview. But because I was just so rushing and I had so many things going on that I really didn't even research the actual company so much. So like I knew the name of the company, but I didn't even know what type of company. I didn't know any of that. All I knew is that the what they were paying would be more than what I was actually making at the time for the job that I just got promoted and I was no longer working at the university. It'd be more than that. And staffing agency, you get paid once a week. And I just knew I can get my money that I needed and I get the apartment. I had no idea. So he calls me back and he's like, well, I thought they called you. I was like, no, I have no idea. I'm like, hey, I've never been to an interview that short. It only lasted 5 minutes. Like, I really don't even think I got the job. And he was like, well, let me give them a call. Let me see. So he gives them a call. I kid you not. He gives the people a call and he calls me back not even 5 minutes later saying, hey, they really liked you. And I'm shocked because I'm like, these people had the poker face, like for real, like literally, like they could be top poker players because I had no idea that they liked me, that they wanted to hire me. Like, I'm a good observant, good people reader for the most part, but they weren't giving me that energy. I did not feel that energy. So he said, hey, can you start this week? And I'm like, I sure can. I will be there. So I'm excited about life, about this job. Then I discover upon getting there and on my first day, and I'm getting familiar with the role, and the lady who I'm shadowing, that I'm working with, and she's kind of like showing me the ropes. She's like, it's an oil and gas company. And I'm like, oil and gas? I had no idea, because I was just focused on getting the job. So not only had I managed to get in an oil and gas company, right? And at this point, I'm like, okay, oil and gas, okay, good. Even if I'm here a month, at least I'm gaining experience, right? At least I'm gaining some type of knowledge, and that's good. Like, I got a foot in the door. And even these guys don't want to hire me permanently, it's only temporarily. I'm going to leave a good taste in their mouth because I'm not going to burn any bridge. I'm going to keep the door open for anything possible in the future, right? Maybe even use them as a reference, right? And so Weeks go by, I'm working. I love the job. I love the atmosphere. And come to find out, there was another black guy there. He just hadn't been in the office. He worked in the field. And not even even what made it even more crazier is that he was, Fred, he was a Sigma and I'm a Sigma. So I'm like, oh my God. So he's looking at me. And the craziest thing is that he's looking at me looking like puzzled, right? And come to find out later, he was like, I didn't know if they was getting rid of me or not. When I saw you, I just didn't know what was going on. So he wasn't meeting me with like a friendly face. Like I'm all like, hey, how you doing? Let's link up, And especially when I saw the bracelet, I'm like, oh, he's Sigma. So I'm like, okay, bet. And but I got a cold reaction from him at first. But now, he's my brother. I'm finding out that these people are really family oriented, that, they take care of their people. They pay their people well. We have a great schedule. We work a hybrid schedule. Like, I'm loving everything about the environment. I'm loving all the people, the good, the bad, the ugly. I'm okay with it because it's way better than where I came from, right? And towards the end of that month, they said, I'm like, hey, you told me you was only going to keep me for a month. I'm just checking in. And I hadn't got my offer letter yet, right? And she's like, oh, no, you're good. Keep working. We like you. We're good. So I kept working. And then maybe like a week or two after that, I get my offer letter, right? And when I get the offer letter, they ask, can I start immediately? And I was like, no, you know what? Let me give the job where I'm currently at 2 weeks notice, and I'll start after that. So I didn't even have to do that. Once again, I'm working for a staffing agency. I could have just chunked the dudes, not tell them nothing, let the staffing agency tell them everything, right? But something was like, no, go in there and tell these people. So the next day, I go in there and I tell my boss, my direct report, I say, hey, I just want to give y'all a heads up that, of course, y'all know about the bat. I have to move at the end of this month and in November 30th. It's approaching in less than like a week or so at that time. And please forgive me on the time frame, but I had literally like a week or so left before it was time for me to move. I hadn't even packed. I had a 2-bedroom apartment with tons of stuff. And at that point in time, I didn't know where I was going to move because I had 2 job offers in 2 different places. But at this point, given that I needed to move immediately, I was going to take whichever one came first. And the state with the job with Dorothy is the one that came first. So I'm like, okay, bet. I'm going to take this job. But this job was like way in Rosenberg, which is like Egypt, like super far, like the outskirts of Houston, right? And total opposite of where I was living. So I go in there and I say, hey, I just want to give you a heads up. I have to move. I got permanent job offers. And, I'm only going to move for a permanent job offer. I know you told me that I can work a little bit longer, but I have to move and I'm only going to move for something permanent. And so I tell her and she's like, okay. And I was kind of getting the sense that she didn't really believe me, right? So the next morning, I came in, I said, hey, I just want to remind you again, if you need me to do anything, like let me know because I just want to give you a firm 2 weeks notice. And I was like, here's my offer letter, right? And so I'm showing her and now she's like, oh, he wasn't lying. He was dead serious. Yeah, I'm dead serious. So next thing I know, everybody's inviting me out to lunch. And I kid you not, like everybody who was in the office that day came out to lunch, to see me leave or whatever, right? And they're asking me about the job. I'm playing the job up, And at this point, I'm just excited just to have a permanent job. And I'm even thankful for my time there and everything that I've learned working there. I never worked in oil and gas. I never did that, even though a lot of the stuff that I was doing was still like transferable skills that I did it for the university. I did maybe 5 roles, and there I was only doing 1. So I was happy. And as a temp, I was making more than I was in my permanent position at the university. So I was entirely thankful, right? Truly grateful. So we go to lunch. Everything's fine. The next day, I'm calling apartments. I'm literally arguing with these people on this phone because it's no urgency. Like I'm saying, like I need to move yesterday. Like I need to come out here. I need to pay whatever. At this point, I don't even care. As long as it looked nice online, I may not even have to walk through. I just need to have someone secured to move, because there's no plan B. I don't want to go live with somebody else. I don't want to go back to this situation. I don't want to go back to that situation. I want to move in my own apartment. I want it to be nice, and I want to go to somewhere that's mine. Like, I'm not trying to go backwards no more, right? So I'm on the phone, and at this point, I forgot I was at work. Like, baby, we already up to about 3 o'clock. I'm arguing with some lady on the phone. I don't even know why I was arguing with her. I was going back and forth with this lady. And then I hear a knock at my door. And I'm like, what in the world? Like, and I look back, it's my direct report. And all I could think was, why did I give these people a 2 weeks notice? You know, I've seen time and time again, I've seen them fire right on the spot. Say, you can go right now. And I'm like, Lord Jesus, what have I got myself into? Like, I'm just thinking, like, I done gave these people a 2 weeks notice, and they're about to fire me. This lady overheard me going back and forth with these apartments people, and they about to let my black butt go. So I'm prepared for the worst. So we walk to her office, we get in her office, I sit down, and she said, hey, Adrian, so tell me about this job. So I'm telling her about the job. I'm truly transparent. Like, in my opinion, I don't have anything to lose. You know, there's no reason for me not to be honest, not for me to be forthcoming. So I tell her, like, hey, you know, it's not a love of labor, but as you know, I had a bat in my apartment. As you know, these people refuse to renew my lease and I have to move. And I'm only moving for a permanent job. I know you told me that, you know, you would keep me a little bit longer, but could only move for a permanent job. So this was one of two jobs that came up first, and I'm taking it because I have to move, not even like in a week or so. So I'm telling her, and I'm even make fun how my dad and certain family members were trying to talk me out of this investigative job. You know, they were like, no, you shouldn't do it. It's just too risky. You shouldn't do it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, bro, none of y'all are going to pay my bills. No, I don't want to stay with none of y'all. Like, I don't want to be in that predicament. Like, I have to do what I have to do. And in my mind, I did collections for over 10 years, a place where I've seen people literally die on the floor. I had managed to thrive in a place where every week there was an ambulance coming, picking up people, you know, taking them out. Every week, the ambulance coming like clockwork every Friday. I don't know if people just wanted to get off early on Friday or what, but I know I've seen some even young people come in and they had no problems. The next thing they know, they're having seizures every other week. Like, this job affected people's health. And I just knew that if I managed to thrive in that environment, I could do anything, literally anything. And so I was prepared to do whatever to be able to move and have my own place. So I'm telling her all of this, and we're laughing and about everything. And she was like, well, Adrian, what if I told you that we would like for you to stay here? So, baby, I'm looking around like, who, me? You told me that you weren't hiring me permanent. You were only going to keep me here for a month, which I ended up working a little bit over a month. But like, I didn't see it coming, right? You know, I kind of felt it in my spirit, but I really didn't see it coming. And at this point, little did she know, baby, I would accept almost anything, especially if you were paying more than that offer letter that I had, right? Even though the offer letter, you know, it was a little bit more than what I had before, but you know, it would just be enough for me to get a decent apartment and be able to make a transition until I would still get paid for overtime. And then you can make a lot of money and what have you, right? But they will work you like a slave to the bone to get that extra money. So, but hey, I was willing to do it. And so she then tells me, well, we would like to hire you as an analyst, an inventory analyst. And at the time, I didn't even know what an inventory analyst was, but I was super excited because in my mind, all I could think is that, do you remember all those times when you were sitting there at that desk and you were doing all those financial analyst little job deals and you were believing that you would get into the oil and gas industry? And here we have now a matter of months, literally not years, not after me waiting to get my master's degree, literally a matter of a few months after me actually graduating, I get not only, a job in the oil and gas industry as a temp, I'll admit as a temp, but now you actually have a actual inventory analyst job. And I'm thinking like, I was so shocked. I was so happy. Like my face just lit up. And when she told me how much the salary and all the benefits of it, I literally almost shitted on myself. Like, forgive me, I don't mean to curse, but I literally almost crapped on myself. Because here I am, in a matter of months, I went from making a third of what the salary and everything would come to making almost triple of what I initially started at when I started at the university. Like, I couldn't believe it. And it happened overnight. So I get this job and I'm on, and I get the job offers, making a lot much more money. I get to the new apartment, right? And literally my move-in date to move into the new apartment is on my birthday. Now, I didn't really tell these people about my old apartments because I'm like, I don't want these people to deny me. I know this lady at these old apartments hate my guts because it is bad. I reported them to everybody under the sun. And when I did the application to the apartments where I live at now, they ran my credit. My credit ended up being better than I even thought it was. Like, I couldn't even imagine. Like, I'm just so shocked. Like, everything seemed to work out, right? And, I gave away my old furniture. I'm saying, even though it was still kind of new, I'm giving it away, everything. I'm throwing away clothes. All I'm taking with me is my bed and some clothes and some shoes that I just put in trash bags. I had a neighbor help me move some of the stuff out, and I even put it by a dumpster for people to pick up if they want it. Like, I'm just trying to get out of my old apartments, right? And I move into my new apartments, and when I get here on my birthday, these people hadn't sent me an email. They hadn't sent me anything, like literally nothing, right? And I get to the apartments and I'm like, hey, I didn't get an email. I didn't get anything. Today's the move-in date. I'm coming to get the keys. They tell me that because of some like report that they run in the background or whatever it is, they run this report, and on this report, it says that, I guess it reported from the apartments that I just left. And so that I would have to pay a security deposit or something. And I'm like, why y'all didn't tell me this in advance? Why didn't y'all tell me this beforehand? You're telling me this the day of. So I was PO'd. Like, I was literally like so upset, so disappointed, because here I had this U-Haul truck. This U-Haul truck had all my stuff in it. Like, I'm prepared to move in. I'm prepared to move in by myself, move everything I can by myself until my family could come help me move in, right? Because I tried to get movers, but because it was at the last minute, I couldn't even get movers. Like, that wasn't even possible. Not no reasonable movers. Everybody was like $1,000 up. And I'm like, bro, I just need a small U-Haul. Like, the biggest thing I have is my bed and mattress. Like, it's nothing major to be over $1,000. It's just really not. So I get here and they tell me the security deposit, and the security deposit is super large. And it's, these people in the office, they're just a little wound up. And I'm in her mind, I guess she was thinking like, I'm not gonna get this apartment. And I left, and then I was just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I don't get paid until like Tuesday. Like, I spent so much money moving. I spent so much money paying off my old apartments before I moved in here, so I won't have any issue. Like, I spent so much money, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And so I called my aunt, and she said, you already know what they trying to do. They think that they doing something. They probably trying to hold that apartment for somebody else, and whoop-de-woo, you already know how it goes. And so they think that you can't afford it. Because I even remember when I gave her my offer letter, letter. The lady was like, is this legitimate? Is this how much you make? And I'm like, yeah, it's my offer letter. And well, we have to verify it, and we have to go through all the steps, blah, blah, blah. So she did all that, and I still wasn't thinking anything of it, because I'm thinking like, bruh, I'm just trying to move in these apartments. Like, ma'am, give me my key. You already did everything. It said, I passed the background, everything was good, copacetic, my credit was good, everything was perfect. So I'm just not understanding what the problem is. So my aunt said, don't worry about it. She said, I'm gonna put it on my credit card. And if they take credit, I'm gonna put it on my credit card, and you just pay me when you get paid the following week. So we did it. They looked super shocked. So I came back. I literally hadn't even drove away like 5 minutes. And shout out to my aunt Sam. Thank you so much. So I literally came back. My auntie gave me her credit card information. I put the, security deposit on the credit card. They're still looking shocked. They hadn't even this is how I knew they didn't even think I was moving in. They hadn't even got my apartment prepared. They hadn't done nothing. So she was like, oh, I got to go do a walkthrough and do this and do that. And we got to have somebody come up there. And I'm like, this is my moving day. Like, why didn't y'all do all of this, right? So they do everything in. I'm waiting for like a few hours. I go get something to eat, come back, and then they're like, okay, you can go in. So I'm going in. I'm just thankful, like, oh my God, I finally got in my apartment. I love the apartment. I love the wood floors. I love everything about it, right? Even though it's a little sour taste in my mouth, because now I'm coming out extra money that I didn't plan for, right? And this is on my birthday on top of that. And so, I got paid that following week. I paid my aunt back. I did everything right, did everything the right way. And I'm looking for new furniture. Actually, I'd already found the furniture before I even moved in here. So I reached out to get the furniture, ordered the furniture got delivered. I already had decorated, and I just moved in here, right? Because I had really picked that stuff, at least the stores, and everything just kind of fell into place. So I had the major stuff like sofas and things like that. And so I'll never forget. I was like, man, I need to do something with this closet. I need to start like getting it in order and put my closet up. So I had everything in trash bags. Like I put all my shoes in trash bags, all the clothes in trash bags, big trash bags, because that's the easiest way to move, the quickest way to move. If you don't know, FYI, get you a big black trash bag, the real, real big ones, and put everything in there. It's the easiest, the best way to move, like clothes and stuff. So, I'm throwing the shoes on the ground, right? And I'm literally just throwing them on the ground. And I'm putting the shoes up, emptying the bags out, putting the shoes up. And then I thought I saw like a little balled up black piece of paper. I didn't think nothing of it. I'm like, oh, balled up black piece of paper. It's nothing major, right? So I'm looking down, and then as I'm about to grab the shoe, some say, pick up the paper. As I was about to pick up the paper, do you know what it was? It was this bat. I'm gonna put it up here, a bat. It was the bat that was in my apartment. So that whole time, I was still in there with that bat. That bat had managed to get in the closet some type of way, because I was afraid to open the closet door. I had 2 bedrooms. So one of the closets I never even opened until it was time to leave. I just kept it closed. And it got in a shoe some type of way. And I had packed it up. And it was here in the new apartment. And it's here in the video. And a part of me was disgusted. And then the other part of me was like, I knew it was a bat. I told these people a bat. Everybody thought I was lying. Probably thought I was crazy, delusional. But here it is, that bat. And then here go my dad talking about, oh, you need to take that bat back to them and show them. Baby, look, at this point, I done got my dream job. I done moved into a desired apartment in an area that I love and that's peaceful. And I don't have to worry about no bats or nothing like that. And I'm just thankful. And when the bat came here, like a part of me was like, look up the spiritual meaning of the bat. And when I looked up the meaning behind the bat, it said something along the lines of transformation, and all I could think was, oh, I'm getting goosebumps right now. All I could think was, this whole process was indeed a transformation for me, right? Not only mentally, but like in location, in my job, like a total transformation. Because not only did I end up landing, a better job, a better place of living, and what have you, but I end up having a better state of mind. And I end up going from like a lack minded to thinking like bigger and thinking abundance and thinking like anything is possible. And with God, literally anything is possible. He will use a bat, do you hear me, to change your life. Where you tried school, you tried this, you tried that. He will literally use a bat, something as unconventional as a bat, to change your life. And even in the bat, it's still symbolic of what he's doing with you, transforming you. And all you have to do is just let him. Just let him. The first key is believing whatever it is that you believe, whatever it is that you want, whatever it is that's in your heart, that your heart desire. And when you have that belief and it doesn't match up with what other people see you as, yeah, they're not going to believe it. They're going to doubt you. They're going to think you're crazy like me. They're like, well, what are you doing that for? And they're like, they don't even care about you taking the steps because they're not going to believe that it would even be possible. And what's so crazy is that all the people, even my immediate boss that gave me hell, that kind of gave me the energy like, I have this degree, I have that degree. You can't sit with us. I'm the cool kids. And all the people who looked down on me because, I hadn't graduated yet, or I wasn't making what they were making, which wasn't even that much more than I was making, right? But they were still like kind of belittling, these condescending notes, all this type of stuff, right? And here I am. I done went through this whole process of shame, being embarrassed, feeling like, having the world snatched from under me, and I did nothing wrong, right? And even though they told me I could have fought it, but my spirit was like, no, they do not value you there. And sometimes you really have to go with your spirit, and it's going to look crazy. It's going to require some type of sacrifice. But God will take a bat. Do you hear me? A bat to push you out, to push you into opportunities and situations that He's already aligned for your path, to give you what was in your heart, what you had been desired, what you had prayed for. And a lot of times, it's not going to take as long as you thought. It's not going to even be as hard as you thought. Like I'm telling you, that initial interview wasn't even 5 minutes. I didn't even think those people liked me. But me being me showing up as me, as my authentic self, me not wanting to burn bridges, me showing up every day with gratitude, me deciding, you know what? I'm going to do the best I can in my role. I don't care about a title. I'm going to treat everybody good. I'm going to learn what I can learn. I'm going to be like a sponge, and I'm going to soak up all this experience. And then also, a part of me letting go of what God cleared out. Like when I literally let go and decided, you know what, I'm no longer going to fight these apartments about this bat. I'm just going to spend all my energy on moving forward. That's when He cleared the way. That's when the opportunity came. It didn't take, months and years like I thought. It literally happened overnight. Literally, I went from making, a third of what I had been making to almost 3 times. And I end up being in a desired job, moving from an area that was way below my means, that I didn't even like, that was pretty much a bat cave, to set the example, to living in an area that I've been wanting to live, in an apartment that I've been wanting to get, that I actually could have afforded before. And even now, this is still below my means, but it's still super nice. But I say this to say that keep the belief, keep the faith, take the actions, do the steps. When a problem shows up, don't run from the problem. Figure out how you can solve the problem. And if that problem is pushing you in a different direction, go the direction that is taking you. Do the steps that you need to do in whatever direction it is. And I guarantee you, Your dreams will come true. The things that you want will manifest and they will come to light. And when they come, appreciate them. Gratitude. Give back. And remember, you are not your job. You are not your title. You are not that bank account. You are not that car. You're not any of that. Just as easily as it came, it can also go. And understanding that there's a season for everything. And more importantly, I've learned that you just have to enjoy the moment. Take everything that you can from the moment because it's needed for the next season. And you take that into the next season and it's like rinse and repeat in each level. It's almost like a video game. So thank you guys if you're still listening. This is how a bat literally changed my life. A bat took me from making a third of what I make now to making almost the desired amount that I have been chasing for many, many years, put it like that, and being in a situation that I've been desired. And I even now know that this career that I have, this job that I have, it's still not me. And it still can go just as easily as it came. And I'm in a place where, you know what, I'm okay with that because I know for sure that as easily as it go away, the next door, the bigger door is there waiting for me. And it's another opportunity, another risk that I may have to take, another problem I have to solve. But on the other side of that problem is the blessing. So once again, if you manage to stay along this long, please like, subscribe, and share. Until the next time, have a good one.